If you want to modernize your C6 Corvette's look and lighting output, then you've got to check out these Morimoto Gen 2 XP LED headlights. Featuring slick good looks, full LED lighting elements, plus customizable DRLs and turn signals, these are head turners in the best way. I love the C6 Corvette. However, I have long maintained that the thing that ages it the most are the factory halogen projector headlights. Though they were cool in their time, their output has always left something to be desired, and the style just hasn't aged as well as we'd hoped. But that problem can be fixed with the Gen 2 XBs. These undoubtedly draw styling inspiration directly from the C8 Corvette and bring a much simpler, cleaner, and more modern look to the front end. The black inner housings are framed by these two LED strips that serve as your daytime running lights and also as your turn signals. The DRLs can be customized to run in amber or white, and the turn signals can be sequential or more traditional on-off with a cool fade-out effect. All you have to do is swap out the included connectors and pick the combination that suits your taste best. Now, no matter which combination you choose, the amount of illumination is not affected, so these will be plenty bright in any situation. So you can have the turn signals be sequential and the DRLs be amber. You can have the daytime running lights as white and those sequential turn signals, or any combination thereof. And you've got all these little connectors, and as you can see, it's really simple to just pop those off and pop a new one on. So if on Monday you want one thing and by Friday you've changed your mind, it's just as simple as that. As for the actual headlight elements, those are also going to be plenty bright. Here you're going to find a single Ice Cube style bi-LED unit that will, as the name suggests, function as both your high and low beam. And if you've driven your C6 on a dark road at night, you're going to appreciate the amount of additional output that these can provide. They are a world away from the standard projectors, and they give you a crisp white light that shines much further down the road than your originals. Construction also makes these a great choice. As with all of Morimoto's lights, the material and build quality are excellent. You're going to find ABS plastic outer housings with UV-coated polycarbonate lenses over top. Now, that UV coating on the lenses will help these resist the typical cracking, yellowing, and fading that plastic headlights can get, meaning that these should look good for a long time. The housings are also weather sealed to protect all the electronics inside, and they come with a nice piece of trim around the outer edge too. You're also going to find integrated adjusters right here on the back too, meaning that these are adjustable and thus fully DOT and SAE compliant, meaning they're also street legal. Pricing comes in at about $1,900 for the pair, which does put these right at the top of the category. These are positioned as a premium offering, which of course means that premium price will be the case. These are positioned as a premium offering, which of course means you're going to have to pay that premium price. And while there are certainly more budget-friendly options out there, if you want that excellent build quality and lighting output combined with something that's going to work and function like an OEM type light, you got to be willing to shell out for them. And I think these are an absolutely perfect addition to any C6. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, that might sound like a lot for a set of headlights, but it's only because it requires a good bit of disassembly in order to access the lights. Once you're in there though, the whole thing is totally plug and play. You've got all the resistors you need, and you've got this one piece of wiring harness that you've got to run into your fuse box. But it's really not that difficult. You just got to run in a little bit of wiring, plug a few things in, make your choice for your DRLs and turn signals, and then button it all back up and enjoy. That said, we are going to walk you through the entire process step by step right now. So for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, T15 Torx bit, shallow and deep 7mm sockets, 10mm socket, a clip removal tool, needle nose pliers, and also not shown here is an extra set of hands, whatever socket you use for your wheels, and a jack and jack stands. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing some headlights on our Corvette, so let's get started. Alright guys, so to get the headlights off, we've actually got the vehicle in the air. We've got the front wheels off because we need to access the inner panels of our fender liner to remove a bunch of stuff, because we are going to need to remove the front bumper as well. So what we're going to do is remove our lower fender liner section as well as our access panel for our backside of our headlight, held on by a various amount of push clips. So we've got our clip removal tool. We're going to pop those out on both sides. So we're going to take our clip removal tool. We'll start with our access panel. We just want to pop the intersection of these clips, and you'll be able to get under, work the whole clip out. Sometimes these are a little stubborn, so be careful with them. Then you want to remove the rest of your clips, and we'll take this out. And once you've got your last clip ready to come out, pull that out, pull your panel out as well. Next, we're going to remove all the clips for our lower fender liner, so all these across the front row, and then all these right on the edge of our bumper, again with our clip removal tool. So we'll start down here. Now you want to make sure to take this bottom push clip out that holds these two trim pieces together. Now that we have that one out, there's also some screws on the bottom side, so we'll get under there and take those out as well. So now we're underneath the front of the bumper, and we have 5 7mm screws around the edge of our little bottom wind deflector, and we also have a 10mm nut. We're going to need to remove all of these. So we've got our 7mm socket on our impact first. We'll get all these bolts out, or screws rather, and then we'll come back to this nut. We'll get our 10mm nut off. So now we're going to pop this edge trim off of our center section. It's just held on with a push clip. We're going to grab our tool. Now, these are both soft, so you want to be careful with them. Just set that aside. Now we're going to get our lower fender liner section out. The first thing we need to do is pull all the layers off of this stud. Pull that down. And this should come right out. And once you have this side out, you can repeat the same process for the other side. Now we're going to come underneath the front center section of our bumper, and you should have 5 7mm screws across this middle section. We only have 3, but there should be 2 on the outer section here, 2 in these recesses, and then 1 in the middle. So we're going to take our 7mm socket and remove those now. And you'll notice the center section of your bumper is pretty much loose. Next, we're going to have to take our marker bulb and our marker light housing out of the bumper, because it is in the way of the 2 screws that are up here holding the edge of our bumper in place. So we're going to disconnect the socket fully, and then we'll pop our marker light out. It's just held in with 2 tabs. You just need to squeeze them and push your light assembly out. Now we'll get our whole socket assembly out. We're just going to give that a twist counterclockwise. Sometimes these are a little stubborn. We get our light assembly out. Again, these 2 tabs you just need to squeeze. Pop your light assembly out. Now we can access the 2 10mm nuts holding the edge of our bumper on. So we're going to get those off with our 10mm socket on our ratchet. Tight in here. Now we can come in and unplug our fog light connector as well as our headlight harness. For your fog light, you're just going to come to the connector, pull back on these little retainer tabs, pop that connector off. And for our headlight harness, you should have a gray safety tab that you need to pull back there. Once you pull that back, you can press down and unplug your headlight harness. And once you have this side to this point, you can do the same thing for the other side. So next we can come inside our engine bay to the back side of where our bumper mounts up front, and we're going to remove the 4 7mm screws along that front section. So we've got our 7mm shallow socket on our ratchet, and we'll get in there and pop those out. You want to make sure you don't drop these. And you can remove the 2 on the other side as well. Next, you're going to need to carefully pull up and out on this inside section, because this does have 2 little hook tabs that we need to release. Pull out and up. And you want to do the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to come to these corners right by our headlights where our bumper mounts, and they're just held on by some little retainer tabs. So we're going to very carefully pull up on those and release those tabs. And just like that. You can do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now I've got an extra set of hands, and we're gonna very carefully pull up and out on the top section of our bumper and remove it and set it aside. Now we're also going to remove this inner foam piece. We have 3 10mm bolts holding it in place. So we've got our 10mm socket, and we're going to pop those off. You do want to support this when you get 2 out. And we'll set this aside. Now we can get under the bottom section of our headlight area and remove the 3 10mm screws for our mounting studs. So we've got our 10mm socket on our ratchet, we'll pop these off. So your studs are located in each kind of corner of the triangular section here. So you've got one up front, one in the back, and then one on the outer section. Get in here. Alrighty guys, so now we also need to remove the nut on this 10mm stud. That's going to free up the side of our fender. So we've got our 10mm socket, and we're going to pop this off. It's just going to allow this to move a little bit more freely. Now in addition to that nut, we're also going to need to remove all of the T15 Torx screws along the inner mounting points of our fender, because we are going to need to lift this up a little bit to allow clearance for our headlight to come out. So we've got our T15 Torx bit on our ratchet, and we'll get these popped out. And we'll lift our fender out, and we'll be able to get our headlight out. Just want to be mindful of your weather stripping. Don't get that pinch. Now we can lift our fender up slightly to allow clearance for our headlight to come out. You want to be very careful when doing this. Doesn't need to come out that far. Once we got it up, we'll pick up on our headlight. And we can slide it out. And once you've got this one out, you can do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so now that we have our headlights out, before we can just install our new set, we have to add in some additional wiring for our new setup. So we're going to come to our passenger side to our fuse junction block so we can add in our T-tab, or fuse tab rather, for our additional harness. So we're at our fuse junction block, and we're going to open that up. You just need to push this forward tab back, fold this open. You do have a graph of where all of your locations are. We're looking for slot 6, which is a 15-amp fuse. That's going to be right here. We're going to take our needle nose pliers, or you can use the provided fuse puller and pull this fuse. We'll set that aside. Now in its place, we are going to install our provided fuse tap that already has 2 15-amp fuses in it. Pop that into place, and we can close our cover back down. Sure that locks in. So our harness has 2 legs with connectors. The shorter leg is going to go directly to your passenger side headlight area. The longer leg is going to come over to the driver's side. So we're going to get our passenger side kind of down under our inner fender area and then up into our headlight section, and then we're going to send our driver's side over and do the same thing. So we're going to tuck our harness down into frame area, pull this up into our headlight area so we'll be able to plug that in, and then we'll do the same thing for the driver's side. So now we've got our headlight, and the first thing we're going to do is plug our provided resistor into that connector, snap that into place. Now another connector we have to take note of is this is for a multitude of functions of your headlight, depending on what setup you want to choose. You have 4 different selections, and there are different dongles that will plug into this connector, one of which will be white DRLs with solid turn signals. The other one will be white DRLs with sequential turn signals, and then the same thing but with amber color. So if you want to decide that before you install your headlights, plug the appropriate dongle into each headlight. You can actually tuck them into where the harness area goes. For demonstration purposes, we're going to put ours out here to show you plugging them in and setting them aside. So we'll get our headlight over in this area. Now we're going to send our resistor and main headlight connector down into our open area. And that connector for the dongle, now if you want to keep it in an accessible point for a quick change, there's a recess where your fender lines up. So we're going to tuck this wire into this little dip in our fender area. We're going to pick our fender up, slide our headlight in, lined up. Now we can begin plugging our light in now that everything is through. Now for that harness that we added, that single pin connector, that's going to go into the white wire single connector on our new harness. You have a couple options with this as well. Now if you just want the white lights to be a parking light and not a DRL, you will leave this like this and bypass the additional harness install. If you wish to run it as a DRL like we are, do the fuse tap install like we did, then you'll unplug this and plug that connector in right there. And we can plug our main headlight connector into our factory side connector. And if you have that gray tab, you want to lock that back into place. Then as for our resistor, we're going to tuck this up out of the way. Now we can begin securing everything down. And once you've got to this point on this side, you can repeat the same process for the other side. So now, as mentioned, we're going to plug in our functionality dongle. Now you have 4 different colors to choose from. Again, blue, black, green, and red. These are going to be the functions that we previously went over. We're going to start with our blue one. So we're going to take our plug. We'll plug this in. Now, again, you can tuck this into your headlight area, but if you like changing it up, it is a good idea to have this in a more accessible spot, like in your engine bay, for a quick change so you don't have to disassemble the whole front end of your car to get to that. So now we're going to reinstall all of our torque screws along the top of our fender. So we've got our T15 Torx bit. Get these set in place. And you want to make sure your fender's lined up before you start these. Just going to very gently run these back in. So now we can reinstall our 10mm nut at the bottom of our fender edge mount. Get that back in. We'll tighten that back down with our 10mm socket. Now we can get our 3 10mm nuts back on for our headlight mount. We'll tighten those back down with our 10mm socket again. Now we can come back out to the front of the vehicle and reinstall our foam fender cover. What we're going to do to make this easy is we've got our first 10mm bolt back in. We're going to line that up with our spot and get that loosely in place, and then get the other 2 lined up. We've got that started. Now we'll get the other 2 in. Once you've got them all in, you can start tightening them down. So now I've got an extra set of hands, and we're going to get the bumper back in place. So we'll start by getting the nose section back in. Once you have that hooked back over, we can get all the rest of it back into place. Now before you reinstall your screws up top, you want to make sure to hook the edge section of your bumper to your fender back into place. So you may have to lift up on that a bit, push it, get it back over that tab. Make sure that's nice and flush. And you can do the same thing for the other side, and we'll put our screws in. Now we'll get our 7mm screws back in place. Now we're going to start these by hand to make sure they actually get started and you don't drop them. And you can get your other 3 started the same way. We'll come back with our 7mm socket and tighten those down. Now that we have all these fingered tight, we'll come back with our 7mm socket and tighten these down. Once you have your first one tight, you can do the same thing for the other 3. All right, so now we can get our sides of our bumper back onto our mounting studs and reinstall our 10mm nuts. We'll get these lined up. Push that up into place. And we'll get our 10mm nuts back on. We'll tighten those back down again with our 10mm socket. Now we can get our marker light back in place. We'll line this up. Pop that back in. Then we can reinstall our marker bulb socket and plug our fog light back in. Now we'll get our marker bulb back in. And twist it around to get it fully seated. And we'll lock that back into place. And we'll plug our fog light back in. Snap that into place. And you can do the same thing for the other side. Now we can reinstall our lower fender liners. Now one thing you want to make sure of is that your air duct lines up with the inlet side on your bumper. Line this up. Get your air ducts line up. And you also want to line up the stud, the bottom 10mm bolt. Make sure all the pieces that go inside are inside. Like so. Now for now, we're just going to throw a few of our push clips back in. This is going to help hold this in place while we get everything else secured in here. Now we're going to get our other 2 pieces lined up with this stud. This is going to help put everything else back in line. We'll get this one back on. And our bumper piece. We'll get that 10mm nut back on. We'll tighten that back down with our 10mm socket. Now we'll get these 2 7mm screws back in place with our 7mm socket. And we'll reinstall our lower trim. So first we'll get this back lined up with our push clip. Pop that back into place. And we can reinstall the 3 7mm screws for this part. Get this outer one in first. Now we're going to get our center mounting screws back in. So we'll grab our 7mm socket, get our 7mm screws. We're going to line these back up. Now again, you should have 5. We only have 3. Now we can put the rest of the clips back in our inner fender liner. Now we'll install our access panel. It's easiest to get a couple clips hung up first. Now once you've got this side back together, you can do the same thing for the other side, reinstall your wheels, and you're good to go. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Morimoto Gen 2 XD LED headlights with black housings and clear lenses for your 05 to 13 Corvette C6. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Corvette, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.